which would include, of course, Chris, but our other engineers as well, talking about streets, sewer, water, those kind of things.
And then like the streets, we don't have to, we can't do anything if they're not gonna give them to us.
That one particular street on E, it would be a challenge if I could say that.
So we don't even have to, I mean, we shouldn't even,
We wouldn't have an obligation to.
I wouldn't actually be obligated to, but it would cause a challenge, and I would have a legal challenge, and I'll let your attorney speak to. Eminent domain is not nice, but it can be done.
okay.
Councilman Jimenez?
Okay, so isn't it more feasible to have everything on 97 on both sides of 97 for a commercial purpose in the near future? Would that be more feasible?
Well, I don't know how to, I don't know necessarily how to say if it's feasible, what's feasible or not. I think where we're limited, going on both sides of 97,
This commercial property has more value always than residential.
correct. I don't recall offhand, I think we were limited, we were starting to limit out on the area that we could include in the plan because we're capped at 10% per year, so we're capped at a 30%. 30% total land area that we could include in the plan.
So y'all didn't even consider the other side?
We looked at the other, I think we looked at the other side, and I'm trying to remember what the, I think there might have been a utility limitation. I'm trying to see if I can find that. The other thing too was we gave more priority to areas that already had some development of some sort, as opposed to taking a large parcel, because on the south side of 97, or the south or east side, however you want to look at it, those are larger parcels in place, versus the north side, which is the area E2 that we've been talking about. And those smaller parcels that already have development on them, those are, we see as more likely to need some guidance in with development rules. So building codes, zoning, subdivision, et cetera, that come into play. So we gave those more priority than a single large tract, which I believe there's either one large tract or several larger tracts that comprise that south or east side across the highway. So I think I made that decision early on to not include that side.
Vanessa?
What I'm looking at, we think E1, we're going to have 262,000 expense, basically, according to your paper. And if we do W1, we're going to have 187. We're going to have about $450,000 of expense. We're going to have. If we have E2, we're going to add another 700,000 to that. So we're at 1.2 to 1.1 million. So that's 700,000 for E2. To me, that should be our next annexation, not this one, where we don't spend every penny that we get on one piece of property. Because that's where a lot of that money's going to go, is on E2. That we get from the good property to the expense property. So E2 to me is just a hidden expense. Minimum 700, could go up to $1 million. We don't know. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what it's going to cost. If we go across the street, now we're going to include high electricity from Phelps. We're going to get them to put electricity there if they want to develop it for residential. And we don't even want to go there yet.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
Mayor, I do have a question. So staff is going to sit and look for direction. We can have Chris do another map, however you like to do, so that we can prepare, your attorney can prepare an ordinance so that we can adopt the final map of what we want to do going forward. Any direction from council members?
I would want to add S2 on that.
We don't have an S2.
I mean, what is it, E2? I'm sorry, E2.
And I would like to add
E2,
one.
let me write it.
I understand what you said, presentation wrote in there, there's not action, I just need direction so that he can come up with another exhibit. We have a map 1 and a map 2, and I just don't want them to get confused if it changes, but we just wanted to make sure it displays what you all are talking about, the areas.
I mean, can you do one with E2 and not E1, and then do one with E1 and E2, and we'll discuss it?
Sure, that's just a map, that's not a problem.
Is that okay? Can you provide that?
Is that okay, Mr. Olivares, since you want E1 and E2?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so then we'll put that in the next package, okay? Thank you, Chris.
So, wait, will we want 3 maps? One with E1, one with E2, then one with E1, E2?
No,
So what do you want?
I already told him. One with, just to do one, we were E1,
We already
and
have.
then one with E1 and E2.
Okay, so we still want E2 by itself.
Yeah, E110, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
And then eliminate the other ones. What was it, W2? The same ones that we had eliminated the last time. It was S1 and
W2. Okay,
And
thank you.
then, E3 and W2.
Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to item 3E. I do not see anybody from M&S here. He's running a little late. So we can come back to that over here when he's here. Okay, we will move on to item 4A, consideration and action to approve a proclamation 2018-001 for the Greater Bethel Church. Mrs. Turner, I know you have more information. Yes, and so in your packet, Mayor and City Council, you see that there's a flyer there from the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, which is right there on the corner of 97. They'll be celebrating their 126-year church anniversary on March 18th. We put it on our community calendar and our Facebook page. And they asked for a proclamation, and so I prepared a proclamation to proclaim that they are the oldest African-American church in the city of Floresville, and for their celebration of the anniversary.
Madam Mayor, I'll move to approve the proclamation.
Okay, for 2018.
Point of information.
Hold on 1 second. Yes, sir.
Did we forget about the monument sign?
They're not here. M&S representative's not here yet. They're on their way, so we're gonna go back to that. We're moving on to the first item. Any comments by the council on the proclamation as discussed? Any citizens' comments pertaining to this proclamation? I will read it, and I do have a motion on the floor. Proclamation 2018-005, whereas the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church, believed to be the oldest African-American church in the city of Floresville, will celebrate its 126th church anniversary on March 18, 2018. Whereas the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church was organized in 1892 and is located on Highway 97 East in the city of Floresville. Whereas the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church new edifice was built in 1988 under the leadership of Wayne Bird, which is located beside the old church building. Whereas the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church has continued to prosper and has contributed to Floresville by providing spiritual enrichment through worship services and community involvement. Whereas the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church members are the cornerstone of Floresville. Whereas this 126th anniversary celebration affords an opportunity to recognize the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church accomplishments and contributions to our community. And whereas the city of Floresville is indebted to the Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church for 126 years of service and wish to express our deep appreciation and gratitude. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Mayor Ceci Gonzalez Dipple, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim March 18, 2018 as Greater Bethel Missionary Baptist Church. The Church Day, I have a motion on the floor by Councilwoman Cantu. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Jimenez. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you. Moving on to item 4B, consideration and action to approve to disperse hotel motel tax funds in the amount of $27,000 as recommended by the Convention Visitor and Tourist Advisory Committee to the Floresville Peanut Festival Association. I think Mr. Gonzalez will be presenting this. They were actually, from what I understand, they're choosing their new court tonight, so they're not unable to be here.
Mayor, can you hear me all right?
Yes. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, Fred Gonzalez, Vice Chair for the Tourist and Visitors Advisory Board. On 21 February, Carmen Leal and her folks, a couple of them, came before our board to request a grant of $35,000. They did a very good job. Their presentation, which included a post-event report and application, was very thorough, answered all required questions, and great in-person briefing. As you know, this is a complete type of event. Significant hotel, motel visitors, big number of visitors to our town, good publicity for our town. Who doesn't associate Peanut Festival with Floresville and vice versa? Right in town impact, economic impact, homecoming for many, entertainment for all ages, great tradition, 74th year, no cover charge. After lengthy discussion and deliberations among ourselves, and while we considered the frugal environment we're dealing with now, it was not a factor. After we applied all the criteria, and we actually applied several models trying to get the best number that we could, and I mean as high as we could go. The board recommends a grant of $27,000. I strongly recommend approval of this amount. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gonzalez. Any questions or comments from any council members? Any citizens' comments? Okay. If not, I will entertain a motion.
I would like to make a motion that we accept the Tourism Visitors Board presented at $27,000.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Nissen. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Johns. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Thank you, 5-0. Thank you very much. Moving on to item 4C, consideration and action to approve resolution 2018-002, disbursement criteria for the hotel motel tax funds. Councilman Ortiz.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, Council, staff, yes. It's a privilege to come to the resolution here tonight. So we have established our criteria for the hotel motel tax funds. And we've came together on this, and latest was Mr. Gonzalez, and I believe now it's set, and we should move forward with this resolution if approved tonight by the council. So
I'll make a motion.
Is there any comments or questions by the council on this?
Yes.
Councilman Nissen?
Did you get all the information you needed on this? The
Yes,
tourism.
yes, I appreciate everything.
So you guys are satisfied with this?
We are.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Any citizens' comments? Okay, I do have a motion on the floor by Councilman Jimenez to approve resolution 2018-002, which is a resolution of the City of Floresville adopting a directive for disbursement of the hotel motel tax funds and providing an effective date. I have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Councilman Nissen. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. 5-0. Thank you. Moving on to item 4D, consideration and action to amend the Floresville Economic Development Corporation bylaws. We have the FEDC Director, Tommy Baker.
Mayor and Council, Tommy Baker. I'm the Director for Economic Development here in Floresville. And there's only one small change in our bylaws. As they currently read, page 1, item 3.2, says that the board will consist of 7 members appointed by the governing body of the city for staggered 2-year terms of office and no more than 3 consecutive terms. My board and I looked at this and said that realistically, this is not how we operate. That being that my board and the directors can be changed at any time that a councilman gets approval to make a switch. And so we felt like that language was not in reality what was actually going on. So we had our attorney take out those 2 terms, and basically 3.2 now reads, the board shall consist of 7 members appointed to the governing body by the city for 2-year terms of office, period. And then the next sentence, an individual, which is stricken, but an individual who's been appointed for 3 terms cannot be appointed to the board again for 6 years, and that was stricken. And that's the only change.
So, you said every 2 years, but we can change y'all whenever, like if we have a new person come in and they want somebody else, we can vote during any time of the year, right?
The terms, what we've observed are the terms of board members are not respected. If a council member wants to make a change, they do it, and that person's off and a new person is appointed.
So they don't have to be in there for 2 years, the way it reads.
I'm sorry?
They don't have to finish their 2-year term.
That's right.
They didn't change that.
So they can serve 2-year terms unless a council member wants to make a change, and they can do that.
Council member or group?
The council
Council.
has to vote. There were the majority of the charter,
Okay.
according to the charter, the majority. The problem became because some people had 2-year terms and then there's a staggered term. That was one of the things that was confusing before. And then term limits, because some people have been off and then back on. And so in the discussion for the EDC, that's what they were asking to recommend, was to remove the staggered terms. So you're disappointed. Of course, everybody's appointed according to, including myself, according to the leisure of the board, and then to eliminate the requirement of limiting how many times somebody can be on that board. And you said you did have your attorney go through this and make sure
Yes.
it's all.
Yes, she revised the document. And of course, it wouldn't be here if the board hadn't approved it.
Yes.
Okay, I have it in yellow, so I'm going to ask this question. There are 2 exceptions. Can you explain that? On that same paragraph, 3.02, it says there are 2 exceptions to this requirement.
Residency requirements.
Yeah, residency requirement.
Yes, there are other requirements, and none of those were changed. Only what I read of staggered terms and maximum term limit are the only things that have been taken out.
And the maximum is going to be,
Ma'am?
what is the maximum? What did you say the maximum was going to be?
There is no maximum.
So,
I would like to leave term limits in 6 years.
6
Right
years?
now, before it was stated 6 years term limit, correct?
Or you want to keep that?
Yes, I'd like to keep the term limits in.
Now, Mr. Baker, because the council, if the council so chooses not to accept your changes, you'll have to take it back to your board. Because as it reads, there are no term limits in this. but if the board so chooses that they want term
So
limits.
are you saying that the council wants to leave in the 6-year max term
Yes, term
and
limits.
just eliminate stagger?
Yes.
No, we want to keep stagnant, right?
No. It's a headache for the staggered terms.
And, you know, I'm not the attorney, but I don't think that she would have a problem. Obviously, this met legal standards, but if council wants a maximum 6-year term, which I think is a good thing, to get new people in and new ideas, I can certainly have the attorney change that and add, so that the only thing taken out would be staggered terms.
Councilman Nixon?
So if you add in the 6 years, you're going to have to also add in when are they eligible to run again?
That's 6 years.
Appointed.
After 6 years?
Well, we
It
can
would
do
just-
2 years, 4
It would
years.
just revert back to the original language that was in the charter, that's what it would do.
Minus the stagger.
Yeah, just minus the stagger, because the stagger term, what ends up happening is that council got into a habit of appointing every year. And so it was assumed, oh, I have a 2-year term, then you're not going to reappoint me, but they would look at the whole board and reappoint. So just to say it's my turn and his turn, it was a moot point. And so it became a little confusing as to what board members are on or not. And so to eliminate the confusion, we just, the board wanted to just say, it's a 2-year term, but we know everybody you can change it whenever you want. But the time limit is up to you. It would just revert back to their language in 6 years. So
And
it's the
the
time
original-
limit of service.
The original language for that item says, an individual who's been appointed for 3 terms, which would be 6 years, cannot be appointed to the board again for 6 years.
Right.
Can
Councilman Jimenez.
can we
Councilman
do it at
Jimenez.
3 years? 6 years is a long time. That verse was pretty good, maybe at 3 years. Instead of having 6 years, or 3 years, or 2 years, set out, and then,
May I have the floor, Madam Mayor?
Yes, Councilman Ortiz.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The reason why I believe all this started was a little while back when one council member came and changed everything with just one vote, and everybody followed that rule and wiped out the whole board, another board, and another board. So when new councils came in, they adjusted to that. And that is why now, whenever one council member has, with the other 2, the majority, they come in and they remove all those that they want to their political gain. But here, what we must do is come together, council, and do what's right. Whenever we move board members from the FEDC, it's for good reasons, to move the city forward. Right now, I have gone to these FEDC meetings, and this board is moving. Let me tell you, they're moving for the city, not for their political gain. That is why all this came into this action, I believe. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Okay, the question will now be with the council to either accept the recommended changes or with the changes that you so choose. So if there's no other, go ahead, Councilman
no,
Jimenez.
I would like to keep the term limits, remove the staggered terms, and whatever you suggest, that the board members have to wait 2 years, 4 years, 3 years. 6 years is a long time, you know, especially those board members were pretty good board members if they have to sit out again. Would be
Sit down time is a short period.
a short 3 years, maybe?
2 years would be that'd be a good term for, so
I'm with 2 years. I don't know what y'all gonna. I gotta run.
So that was your motion?
Yes.
And well, before I entertain the motion that Mr. Councilman Jimenez has, any citizens' comments? Okay. Yes, Mr. Gonzalez.
Gonzalez, Floresville, and also Vice President for the FEDC. I think what we need to understand is that we're leaving, according to what you're suggesting, everything as it is, with the exception of the staggered terms. Am I correct?
No,
Yeah.
because right now you have term limits being the same.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You're only removing the part that says staggered.
Staggered terms, leaving 6 years.
Right, leaving everything else as it is.
Yes.
Also, let me make a point. I think that change was made to kind of be like the council, and that is where the council has the authority to make changes without necessarily having a reason or waiting for a period of time. Think very carefully before you decide to do away with that. That's all I'm saying. But right now, we're only changing, according to what you're suggesting, removing that little phrase that talks about staggered terms. And that's a very good thing. That staggered terms is a real headache and causes all kinds of problems. Thank you very much.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Councilman Jimenez, you wanted to take out the staggered terms with,
Term limits.
with the term, the staggered term. But you're also adding the term limits around how long they have to stay out.
Stay out 2 years.
Staying out for 2
3
years. Okay.
So what do you want to make the maximum
The
term?
is 3. 3, which is sort of
6
6
years.
years. Then you would have to wait 2 years.
Still wait,
before
reading
you're
6
appointed.
years.
You have to wait 2.
So the only thing that will be changed, will take out the term staggered. It'll be 2 years with a maximum of 6 years, and then they have to lay out 6.
No, they want to lay out 2 years.
Only lay out for 2 years, Mr. Baker. Lay out for 2. 2 years.
2 instead of 6.
Oh, they lay out,
6 years, they can be on the board for 6 years, and then they have to be off for 2 years before they can be back on.
okay, all right.
Is that, yes?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yeah, that's basically what it's
So
saying.
I think, I guess we're gonna have to wait for Councilman Jimenez to come back. I know he made the motion.
I'll make a motion that we take out the staggered year, leave the 3-term, and have a off period of 2 years.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Nissen. Do I have a second? Seconded by Councilman Johns. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those, okay. 4? 4-0. 4? 4-0. Thank you
Thank you.
very much. Okay, moving on to our next item. Item 4E, consideration action to approve resolution 2018-006. We have our city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council.
Okay.
So this resolution is a resolution saying that EDC has recently said that they would support the application that you all directed me to apply for, that they would actually actively support the grant match to the tune of $50,000. Now, I've done some preliminary engineering in preparation for this application, and give them a little fold-out maps, but I really haven't thought of that. So the resolution says that they would actually do, for the ADA, that they would do the sponsorship, which is really important for us to have it in resolution time, that we have to have that. But if you look at the little map, Intrepid is our person that's doing the engineering on this one. I had him to do it in phases, because as you're looking at it, we don't want to just look at one little section. We want to look at what we can do for phases, for capital, and if I run across some other plans, we can look at it. And in each one of those maps talk about the phases. But the first phase would include starting from D Street all the way up to C, right there on 3rd. And then it would turn and go down C Street, going towards Olivia's. That would be that L. And depending on how the funding would come, we go up to Pat Brown's, which is going towards 4th Street for and that's what these little maps are talking about. So each map is a phase. There are a total of, I believe, 8 phases, if I've seen it right. So if we have somebody who just wants to give us $1 million, I can do all of them at one time. But in the interim, we'll do them in phases. But ultimately, it would go from D Street all the way to Trail to correct ADA accessibility along that way. And that grant is coming up in October. I can just start doing the preparation for that. But this is to say that to allow you to accept the funds from EDC to allow us to move forward. It does have to have 2 readings, And so this is the first of the readings that we have to say publicly that the EDC is going to give us these funds for $50,000, if I get it right.
And that is the stipulation, is if you get the grant.
So about the grant, yes, ma'am.
Councilman Nissen?
Well, how much grant you gonna go for?
The maximum $250,000.
Or 50,000 cost?